I look a little bit like Death, or Death's cousin, Calamity. Oh, hi. Welcome to Soxcetera, episode Psychos. I'm Shannon. You can find me on Ravelry as shannonfisher and Instagram as Shannon Mariah. I just left death's door, so I'm recovering from that, but I'm feeling good enough, spry enough today that I thought I'd give this a shot. So I know I sound a little bit sick, but I'm actually feeling so much better than I was. So if you can bear with my froggy voice, I mean, we're knitters. We have to deal with frogs and frogging. I'm drinking my first hot drink, hot chocolate, to comfort me and you. And today I'm wearing a cardigan that my grandmother made. She passed when I was 2, so I didn't know her very well, or at all, I guess, into my memory. Her maiden name is Betty Hall. She is a war bride, was a war bride. I'm only 2nd generation Canadian. She came over to Canada from Wales with my grandfather. So she's my maternal grandmother. And she knit this, and I think she made it for my mom and my mom gave it to me. I can't remember, but I've had it for a long time, and I haven't worn it for a long time. I used to wear it all the time. I've even thought about frogging it and knitting it into something else. I'm pretty sure it's just acrylic yarn, but I love it. It's super warm. In fact, I may have to change. I'm like dying in it right now. So this is going to be a little bit of a lower energy show today, but hopefully we'll still enjoy ourselves. So let's see. I've got my computer in front of me with my show notes. Guys, I'm a big deal. I've got show notes. I may have overdone it with the blush, trying to hide the fact that I'm a little bit deathly. I was gonna start by telling you a couple people have either had trouble pronouncing soxcetera or been confused by the name, so I thought I'd just explain it a little bit. It's really not that interesting of a behind the scenes story, but when I was trying to figure out if I had a podcast, what would I name it? And I had just really started getting into socks and decided that I love them and want to knit them forever. But I also want to knit other things too. So I thought socks and etras, soxcetera, socks and other things. I spelled it, you know, the silly way, S-O-X, and then etra for the etc. That's the story behind soxcetera and me and how you got me. So here I am in all my soxcetera glory. I'm percolating on what to do, or if I was ever to do a cow, what I would do. So if you would be interested in doing a knit along with soxcetera, aka me, maybe I'll open up a thread in the Rav group just asking, you know, what would be your dream cow, or what would you be interested in? There's almost 400 of you now subscribed to my channel. Amazing, thank you. So come to the Rav group and introduce yourself. I think there's maybe 77 or so members there now, so that's great. That's an amazing number, more than I ever thought I'd get, but it's a lot less than almost 400. So come and introduce yourself if you've been watching. I'd love to know where you're from, what you love knitting, whatever you want to tell me. I do have a welcome intros thread there. I'm way behind on replying to it. I will respond to everyone eventually. I apologize. Like I said, I've been at death's door for the past few days. But I'll play some catch up this week. The other thing I wanted to say was last week, I wanted to apologize for something I said last week, and it's silly because I could have, if I had been thoughtful, I would have just edited it out of the video. But clearly I didn't think it was a big deal until I watched myself again and thought, you sounded really whiny and entitled when I talked about the Canadian dollar and how American things were just too expensive for Canadians right now. And I thought, you know what, that's just a thing that is not in my circle of influence. And so to whine about it, and I just thought I sounded whiny and entitled, and it's not the kind of person I want to be. You know, obviously it's just where I choose to spend my money, and right now when I do the conversion of the American money, it just like it hurts a little bit. So, you know, whether I choose to do that or not that's my issue. Is maybe I'll just edit that out as well. Right now we're going to talk about the giveaway. I'm going to announce the winner for the giveaway. I could not figure out how to close a Ravelry thread. I consider myself pretty savvy, but I mean, I even Googled how to do it and nothing was coming up. I just crossed my fingers that no one else put something in while this was going on. So I was the first commenter, and we had 36 in total, so there's 35 of you entered your name to win the stitch markers with either the robot bag or the pickup sticks bag. So let's go and take a look right now. I've called up random generator, and I've got number 2 to 36. So let's generate a number. So I'm going to hit generate right now. And it says number 26. So I'll go to the Ravelry thread and I'll scroll to number 26, and that is Samich 4. Congratulations. She says, I love the owls bag and I love the cupcake stitch marker set because I am a pastry chef. So perfect. Samich, if you can get in touch with me, PM me on Ravelry or Instagram and let me know your address and which of the 2 Notions bags you would like your stitch markers to come in, then I will send those off to you in the mail. So congratulations. Yay, my first giveaway. How exciting. Wow, I really look pretty horrible, you guys. I'm wondering if I should go restart this. You know what? I'm not gonna, because this is real life. We don't always look divine, but maybe you only put your best self forward on a show. I don't know. I'd rather people know that I'm not perfect, not that I've looked perfect on any episode previous to this. Maybe you polish yourself up a bit for those public appearances. I don't know. But for now, this is what you're getting, okay? If I was Jody and Tracy from the grocery store girls, I'd be like, oh, it's backwards, you can't read it. Just kidding. It's funny, guys. I love that part. If you don't know who the grocery store girls are, as if you don't, I'll be talking about them in a minute. So, finished objects. Because I had so much time in bed this week, just chilling with Netflix. Not Netflix and chill, but chilling with Netflix. I had a lot of time to finish. So I finally finished these socks that I started, I don't know, feels like a million years ago. But what's weird to me is, so this is where this happened along the gusset. So I'm adding stitches and the chunk's getting bigger, whereas you think it would be getting smaller, because when you spread something out, I would think that a stripe would be getting smaller, not bigger. So I don't really. the math did not add up in my head for this. So, I mean, it's a little wacky that it does that, but it's kind of the charm of homemade socks, isn't it? So I still love them. The fact that I made them and they're mine and they're wacky, just like me. So yeah, these were 2 at a time, toe up. That witchcrafty Turkish cast on. And then I did my favorite Fleegle Heel. Oh, speaking of which, I have a question. I have my first question. And it's about the Fleegle Heel. So maybe I will, since I'm still on Rav. Okay, so I have a questions and suggestions thread. And I got my very first question. And it is from Medcalf2. And P.S. I don't feel like you're stalking me. In fact, you should probably follow me on more places. She said she thought I might feel stalked by her, but I don't. So she says, hi, just been watching the show when you talked about the Fleegle Heel and about using it with other patterns. I also knit my socks toe up and think I've tried this heel, but it was just in the pattern. It wasn't named as a particular heel. My question is, when you substitute it in patterns, how do you know when to start the heel? And do you knit a gusset before the heel? So I think this heel is actually in a lot of patterns and it's just not called the Fleegle Heel. I think it's not called anything because like in Jane Richmond's Socks Climb, it's the same as the Fleegle. I was telling my friend at Knitting Club who knits exclusively socks that the Fleegle Heel is my go-to, and she was showing me what she was doing. I'm like, you're doing the Fleegle Heel. I don't know if the woman named it or if I should maybe do more research on it. But when you go on, so if you go on YouTube and search Fleegle Heel, I'm pretty sure there's only one legit video that comes up, and it's her showing at least 95% of how to do it. I think she leaves out the last 5% because she wants you to go to her blog and sign up for her newsletter, and that will send you some of her patterns. So I'll put her name here and what that is. And then her patterns show you the rest of what to do. So what she says in her patterns is you do a gusset. So you increase, and what I've found is that you increase, so normally you're doubling, when you do a gusset, you're doubling your heel stitches on the heel part of your needle, on your second needle. You're doubling those stitches, you're increasing to, so say you have 32 stitches, you're increasing to 64. Well, she increases to about 6 less than double. So I increased to, I made a gusset until I had 58 stitches on my heel needle. And then I started doing the Fleegle Heel. But basically she says you start the gusset when your socks reach the hinge in your ankle, where your ankle bends and connects to your, so where your foot, the foot hinge. So if this is your foot, when it bends to meet your, so she says you knit until your socks reach there, and then you start doing a gusset. And then once you're done the gusset, then you do the Fleegle Heel turn. It's not an exact measurement, but it's worked for me. All that information is in her her patterns when you sign up for her newsletter. Oh, hopefully that my sick brain has been able to answer your questions sufficiently. But yeah, so these are done. Fleegle Heel, and then I just did a short leg. And I was going to do my very first twisted stitch rib, but I just was not, my brain was not into it at all. So I just did a basic 2x2. Yeah, so those are done. That's exciting. And then remember my friend Pam had asked for a Costa Rica hat? Last episode I talked about that. Or she walked by a yarn store, a local yarn store in West Van, and saw a hat called the Easy Ombre Slouch hat. And so she decided that I should probably knit that for her. And so I did. It's my very first Colorwork. And I think I did a pretty good job. It's not blocked at all. But yeah. So Fair Isle is not as scary as I thought it was. And I think my stranding, if that's what you call it, I think my stranding even turned out okay. There's no puckering or anything on the front of the toque. I just posted a picture to Instagram of Emma wearing it because it definitely needs to be blocked, but yeah, it's cute. So that's that. Easy Ombre Slouch. It's a free pattern on Ravelry. And it was a pretty quick knit. I started it on Thursday night at knitting my knitters club. And that's when I started to feel like, ooh, I'm getting sick. So Steve went down with this, whatever this is, on Tuesday night. Emma was struck down on Wednesday night. And then Thursday night at knitting club, I started to feel, oh, I'm not feeling so great. And I was freezing the whole time at knitting club. Like my fingers were so cold, like icy, icy cold. And I got home. I'd walked, it's just a few blocks up the hill. And so I walked home in the rain as well. And I felt a little bit like Beth when she gets home from the Hummels. The Hummel baby is sick. I feel so strange. And sure enough, I had a fever. So I don't think I did any knitting on Friday. I think I just mostly slept. And then yesterday I did a ton in the evening. And then I finished this morning. So it is a really quick knit. Yeah, so those are my finished objects. I didn't work on my Cozy Memories blanket at all. I keep calling it Creative Memories blanket. I don't know why. Creative Memories. I think that's remnants of the days of scrapbooking. Creative Memories. There's something to do with creative memories and scrapbooking. So I didn't work on that at all. I didn't touch anything except for those socks and the toque. I called these my Chelsea socks because they are the colorway from Knit Picks is the Chelsea colorway in the whatever yarn it is. My shawl is a work in progress, but I haven't touched it. My blanket is a work in progress, and my sweater is a work in progress. I think this week I'm gonna put, or maybe for a couple weeks, I'm gonna not cast on any new socks, because once I start socks, I think I get really fixated on them. I get excited because I think, ooh, I can finish these up quick, and then I'll have another pair of socks to wear. But then I ignore everything else. And I'd really like to spend some time on my shawl, and I'd really love to spend some time with my sweater. Now my sweater, I haven't been excited about at all. So I think what I'm gonna do to get myself excited is, if you haven't heard of Inside Number 23 with Katie, her podcast, she is darling and I love watching her. And she's been doing some sewing from the company that my knitting friend owns. Tassia St. Germain owns Sewaholic, and she's in my knitting club. Tassia took up knitting because sewing became her career, and so she needed something that wasn't job related to do for fun. And so she took up knitting, and she's just completely run with it. And like I've mentioned in past episodes, knits the most beautiful things. and is the person who probably inspired me the most to try my very first sweater. So now I'm working on my second sweater, and Katie from Inside Number 23 has just started a new segment on her podcast called Netflix and Knit, where she's going to knit something inspired from her favorite show that is or isn't Netflix related. And so the first thing she's doing is Harry Potter inspired, and she's going to make a Weasley sweater. Now, I'm not a crazy Harry Potter fan, but I live with two crazy Harry Potter fans. And so I thought maybe if I turn my sweater, because it's just a plain black sweater, maybe if I turn my sweater into a Weasley sweater, it will be more fun for me to knit. And a little bit of a challenge, because I'll have to do some color work. So I think I'm going to join her. I'm going to get another color from the Bravo worsted line for the S insignia for my Weasley sweater. So yeah, I think that's going to get me excited to knit it. So I need to go find her group on Ravelry and join that. I think she's doing a knit along for it. If she's not, well, she is now. So, hi Katie. I super duper enjoy your podcast. Wish we could go for coffee. It'll be super fun. I do have a couple of acquisitions. So in the mail, last week I mentioned that after I got my 3 new project bags, I mentioned I had also been expecting some yarn. Well, it came on Monday, which was weird because Monday was a holiday here, Family Day, which I think Family Day is, I don't know if Family Day is all across Canada or if it's just in Alberta. Anyways, we've had Family Day a long time in Alberta. But then BC just got Family Day the year we moved here, I think. But they put theirs a week earlier, something to do with ski season or I don't know. Anyways, so it was a surprise to me that the post people were working because they don't usually on holidays. Government takes all the holidays off. So, but anyways, delightful. So I got my very first, I got 2 balls of yarn from Scrumptious Purl, and they're both self-striping. This one is, does it have a colorway? Astoria. So Scrumptious Purl. This is called Astoria. So it's like red and purple and gray. Really fun. I'm excited to cast those on, which I won't do right away, like I said, because I'm gonna focus on other things. And then this is like a fun green and purple and almost like an oatmeal color. And this is called Heard It Through the Grapevine. So very fun. Love those. And then the other thing I got is my 4th and I don't know, maybe final project bag. How many project bags does a girl need? Probably more, but I should stop for at least a while. Yeah, I got my first project bag from Mrs. Brown's Bags. Hi, Jody. Kitties! Look! Look how great it is. This really fun fuchsia bottom. And all these great little cats. We have 2 dogs, but I'm definitely a cat person as well. Steve and I, when we got married, we had 3 cats. We gave them away before we had Emma, which was super, super sad. We didn't think we could do both a baby and full-time school and 3 cats. Anyways, so I do love cats. So that's really fun. This is big. I have my sweater in it because it's definitely going to grow. Oh, I should show you first. It came with all this really fun stuff. Like, it's just beautiful, beautiful packaging. This really nice, just this nice string. And then a cute little progress keeper. And a skein keychain, a mini skein keychain, and then a couple of maple candies. Yum, yum. Yeah, and look at this great tassel. Leather tassel. So fun. So yeah, you've seen this sweater, but now that I'm talking about adding, making it into a Weasley sweater, I'll show you again. So like I said, I haven't touched this for a long time. I think this is the front. So yeah, just really plain black. So if you have any color suggestions for the S, maybe let me know. I don't know what I mean, anything would go with black for sure, but the tassel just came off. Oh, that's okay. It's back on. So yeah, those are my acquisitions. So I have some thank yous to say. This was an amazing week. 7 people mentioned me in their podcast, and I think 4 of them I didn't know about. Like, I found out while watching the podcast. The others I found out because they tagged me somewhere, and then I went and watched the podcast, so I was anticipating being mentioned, but the others I was just like, the very first one. Okay, so some of these are thank yous. They said thank you because I mentioned them, so now I'm thanking them for thanking me, but it's still amazing to be mentioned, so I don't think thank yous are overrated. So yeah. So Gabby from Once Upon a Corgi mentioned me, and I suspected she was going to, but it's still delightful when she did. And then Sarah from OhLoops, that was the first surprise. I was, I think it was the first night Steve was sick, so I went and slept on the couch just to give him some space to cough and, I don't know, have some room. And I had some insomnia, so I decided to just sit up on the couch and knit, and noticed that they had a new episode, and suddenly she was saying my name, and I couldn't squee because it was the middle of the night and my family was asleep, but I was super delighted, so thanks, Sarah. And then Mina from the Knitting Expat, I didn't know she was going to mention me, but somebody, I think, tagged me and said that she did or something. So then I watched her, and it was just so nice to, it's just something about being mentioned. It just feels so nice, and it's really delightful. It's such a huge gift. So I think Kemper from Junk Yarn podcast, whom I love, she was saying on her last podcast how it's so nice when the community is so supportive and promotes each other, and I'm finding that is really true about this knitting podcast community, is that it is really supportive, generous, kind, thoughtful community, so it's really cool to be part of something like that. And then Knitting I Love with Barbara, who is quirky and wonderful. She is an Irish girl living in Poland, or a Polish girl living in Ireland. I think she's an Irish girl living in Poland. What did she call me? Perfectly Twisted? Anyways, so she's fun, and she gave me a shout out on her last podcast and threw my name in a jar to win something. I didn't win, but still, my name is in the jar, you guys. And then Sticks Plus Twine with Eric, he gave me a shout out. Got the polka dot door theme song in my head, and if you're Canadian, you now have it in your head too. The polka dot door, the polka dot door. But thank you, Eric, that was really nice. And then Pinfeathers Purls with Candace, who I'm loving so much, and hers was a thank you, so I'm thanking her for thanking me. But still, she's in my hometown, and so I feel a particular kindredness to her. But I do notice, I'm wondering if you're a native to Calgary, Candace, because I've noticed that you don't say Calgary like a native. You say Calgary. People who grew up in Calgary say Calgary. They drop that second A, which doesn't make it any better or worse. It's just something that I noticed. And then Sarah from the Reluctant Sisters podcast also mentioned me. They're one that I feel like I'd maybe heard of, but I hadn't watched yet. And so I went and watched them because I think they tagged me in their show notes on Rav. And so I went and watched, and yeah. So thanks for the huge gushing love this week. It was particularly wonderful when I've been feeling so crummy. And Steve and I had a big hug last night, and just, he was feeling like, oh, we're gonna be sick forever. And I'm like, I promise we won't be. But when you're in it and you're just so blah, it's hard to see the end. So thank you for that love. A little bit of an extra boost. I think I may have run out of energy. I don't even think I have the energy to tell you any Shan things. I feel like I really do look like death. Hey, it's your fave, Shannon from the future. I realized that I forgot to do pod love. So the two pod loves I wanted to send out this week are Stacy from Stress Knits. She is a newish podcaster, and she does her podcasting from her dorm room, which is amazing and adorable, and she's great and does some really great projects, and she's just fun to listen to, and she's cute. And anyways, yeah, she seems really lovely, and I have really been enjoying her podcasts. And then the second one, I alluded to them earlier, was the Grocery Girls podcast, and that is with Jody from Mrs. Brown's Bags and Tracy of Instagram fame. And they just did episode 2, and they already have 800 million gabillion subscribers, so they are very well loved in the community already, but they are definitely worth checking out if you haven't. They're sisters, their family's in the grocery business, so that's where their name comes from, and you can just tell that they're close and connected, and they have really lots of fun together, and there's just a really natural camaraderie between them that's fun to be part of and follow when you watch them. So definitely check out the Grocery Girls. Shannon from the future. Steve's downstairs making me alphagetti on toast right now. It's my go-to comfort food that I haven't had for a really long time. So I'm super excited about that. Alphagetti on toast. Looks gross. Tastes delicious. Sorry this is a little wobbly. Recording completely did me, and I used up all of my energy, and I could not get back to my office to do this. So I'm coming at you from the bedroom. Big love and squishy hugs. See you guys next time. Don't forget to subscribe, like, follow, hug a friend.